Imagine waking up to find your truck's brake lines sliced clean through. Hydraulic fluid pooling like a sinister warning. All because your HOA president decided your work vehicle offended her pristine suburban utopia. Now picture that same power-hungry Karen. Once the unchallenged queen of petty rules. Begging on her knees in the dead of night. Her empire crumbling as her own son turns her in for embezzlement and attempted murder. Talk about poetic justice served ice cold. In the manicured hellscape of Oak Ridge Meadows. A cookie-cutter suburb in suburban Colorado where every lawn was trimmed to military precision and every mailbox matched like soldiers on parade. Jack Harlan thought he'd finally found peace. At 42. A divorced HVAC technician with a teenage son named Ethan who'd barely spoken since the custody wars. Jack poured his life savings into a modest split-level home that promised normalcy. The air smelled of fresh mulch and barbecue grills. Kids zipped by on bikes. And the HOA promised community harmony for a mere $200 a month. Little did he know. Harmony here meant bowing to the whims of Barbara Klein, the HOA president who'd turned the neighborhood into her personal fiefdom. Barbara, with her pearl necklace choking her neck like a noose of false propriety, patrolled the streets in her gleaming Lexus. Clipboard at the ready. Enforcing rules that twisted logic into pretzels. We maintain standards here. Mr. Harlan, she'd coo with that saccharine smile. Her eyes glinting like a shark spotting chum. Jack, fresh from a bitter divorce where he'd learned to document every lie his ex flung at him, nodded politely but filed away her words like ammunition. He parked his work van, branded Harlan Cooling and Heating, in the driveway. Unloaded tools. And waved at neighbors who eyed him like he was a stray dog at a garden party. The first crack in the facade came on a sunny Tuesday. 3 days after move-in. Jack was wrestling boxes into the garage when he heard the telltale clip-clop of heels on pavement. Sharp as gunfire. Barbara materialized. Her blouse starched stiffer than her spine. Holding a notice that fluttered like a white flag of surrender, except it demanded his. Mr. Harlan. Your commercial vehicle is in violation of Section 14.2. No unsightly work trucks and driveways, they depreciate our property values. Jack blinked. Sweat trickling down his back. Ma'am. I run a small business. This is how I pay the mortgage. And Section 14.2? Let me check the bylaws. Her lips pursed into a line thinner than her patience. I've been president for 12 years. I know the rules better than you ever will. Move it to the street or face fines. That night, Jack pored over the HOA documents under the harsh glow of his kitchen light. Ethan's video games humming in the background. Section 14.2 didn't exist, the covenant stopped at 9.8. Covering holiday lights. But Barbara wasn't bluffing blindly, she was probing for weakness. Like a bully poking a bruise to see if you'd flinch. Jack didn't. Instead, he smiled inwardly. His engineer's mind clicking into gear, measure. Document. Wait. The whispers started subtly, a neighbor's sidelong glance. Ethan's new school buddies mentioning that guy with the eyesore van. Jack heard the rumors at the grocery store, he's probably running drugs out of that thing, one busybody murmured loud enough to carry. He bit his tongue. Observing how Barbara orchestrated it all from her throne at the community Facebook group. Posting veiled complaints about newcomers disrupting our serene oasis. Tension simmered into a boil when the first fine arrived. A crisp $100 envelope stamped with the HOA seal. Accusing his van of visual pollution. Jack ignored it. Focusing on rebuilding his life, landing a big contract at the local hospital. Teaching Ethan how to change oil in the driveway. But Barbara escalated. Her concern turning predatory. We're all in this together. Mr. Harlan, she emailed. Her words dripping false camaraderie. Then came the surprise compliance check. Jack was midway through a rooftop install when his phone buzzed. Ethan's frantic text. Dad. Some ladies in our yard with a city guy. Snapping pics of everything. She's smirking like she won the lottery. Jack raced home. Tires squealing. To find Barbara directing a board inspector like a traffic cop on steroids. Improper shed placement, it's an eyesore. Drainage issues, could flood the street. And those flower pots? Unapproved colors. The inspector shrugged. Mumbling about routine calls, but Jack smelled the setup. Barbara and him golfed together. Her influence as thick as the summer humidity. Fines totaled $300. Ethan, watching from the window, whispered. She acts like she owns the air we breathe. Jack nodded. Rage bubbling under his calm facade. Son. People like her thrive on reactions. Let's give her rope. That night, he installed hidden cameras, discreet. Hi-res. Audio-enabled, covering every angle. Digging into county records. He uncovered Barbara's playbook, over a decade. She'd hounded out 15 families, single dads like him. Immigrants with accents. Widows whose lawns weren't golf course green. Each time. Escalating fines. Rumors. Isolation until they broke. Community standards, she'd preach at meetings. Her voice honeyed poison. But Jack's divorce had taught him patience. He audited the HOA books legally. His calculator whirring like a chainsaw through lies. Phantom expenses, $800 consulting fees to her sister's ghost company. $1,500 landscaping upgrades with no grass to show. Over 5 years. $28,000 siphoned, funding her harassment with their dues. Oh. Barbara, Jack muttered to the empty room. You're not just petty, you're a crook in pearls. The war turned nuclear at the next HOA meeting. Held in a stuffy rec center reeking of cheap coffee and quiet desperation. Only a handful showed. Cowed by Barbara's glare. She droned through the agenda like a queen reading decrees. Dismissing budget questions with a wave. Transparency is key. But trust the board. Jack stood. Voice steady as steel. Speaking of trust. Care to explain the $28,000 in unaccounted funds? I've got receipts. The room froze, Barbara's face flushed. Her pearls suddenly looking like a choke chain. Mr. Harlan. If you don't appreciate our management. Perhaps Oak Ridge isn't for you. Her smile was all teeth. No warmth. Actually. Barbara. I'm staying. But you might want to explain this to a lawyer. Whispers erupted post-meeting. Neighbors who'd suffered in silence eyed Jack like a lifeline. Old Mr. Ramirez. A retired mechanic who'd fled after Barbara's noise complaints about his grandkids' laughter. Slipped him a folder. She did the same to me in 18. Fake inspections. Rumors I was a squatter. Document it all. Kid. Jack did. His cameras catching Barbara's next move, midnight prowls. Her Lexus idling as she snapped doctored photos, his van blocking sidewalks when it wasn't. Trash bins overflowing with added props. Then the business sabotage, calls to clients. Anonymous tips about unreliable service. 2 contracts vanished overnight. $12,000 gone. We're sorry. But reports of code violations make us nervous, one said. Jack's blood boiled. But he grinned darkly, her Photoshop fails left metadata trails. Fingerprints on her fraud. Ethan, sensing the storm, asked, Dad, why not yell back? Jack ruffled his hair. Because yelling loses wars. Evidence wins them. Enter Tommy. A grizzled ex-cop Jack hired on the cheap. Your HOA lady's unraveling, Tommy reported after tailing her. Drinks alone. Hubby ghosts her. And get this, she's stalking your routes. Sure enough. Cameras caught her rifling his mail. Stealing client docs. But the kicker, her mansion's extension encroached 10 feet onto Jack's lot. Per old surveys. Well, Jack whispered. The Queen's castle is on borrowed land. Desperation bred stupidity. Barbara's brake line sabotage reeked of amateur hour. Jack noticed the truck's sluggish response one dawn. Popped the hood. And found the clean-cut, fluid dripping like her leaking authority. Attempted murder over a van? Classy. His hidden cams missed the act but nabbed her car lurking at 2 a.m. Panic hit when her son, Liam, 18 and hollow-eyed, knocked that night. Mr. Harlan. Mom's gone off the rails. She bragged about fixing your truck to silence you. Recorded it on her phone, embezzlement too. Liam. Torn between loyalty and conscience. Handed over audio, Barbara's voice. Slurred with wine. That Harlan pest is dragging us down. A little accident. And poof, problem solved. And those dues? My perks for keeping order. Jack filed reports, stalking. Fraud. Attempted homicide. Detective Ruiz nodded. This ain't neighborly, it's felony. Barbara doubled down. Vandalizing her own mailbox and blaming Jack via false 911 calls. He's threatening me, she'd wail. While cams showed her swinging the bat. Neighbors rallied, petitions circulated. Exposing her racism, targeting those types who didn't fit her white picket mold. Her media ploy backfired, a TV interview where she played victim. But the reporter grilled her on the recordings. Explain the brake lines. Mrs. Klein. Her face crumpled. A mask cracking under spotlights. Liam testified. Journals in hand, detailed plots. Hate-fueled rants. She sees herself as a savior. But she's a monster. The grand jury indicted on 20 counts, bail denied. Barbara rotted in orange. Her Lexus repossessed. The trial was a spectacle. Courthouse packed like a Super Bowl tailgate. Prosecutor laid it out, footage of her midnight mischief. Financial trails. Liam's damning words. Barbara's lawyer stammered. Misguided zeal for community, but Judge Harlan, no relation. Thank God, scoffed. Zeal? This is terrorism in suburbia. Guilty on all, 5 years prison. $200,000 restitution. Her house auctioned. Encroachment demolished, Jack's fence now stood tall. A barrier of sweet irony. Oak Ridge bloomed, new board. Transparent books. Block parties without fear. Jack's business boomed. Clients praising his grit, Ethan opened up. Volunteering anti-bullying talks. Dad. You showed bullies crumble, he said over coffee. Jack's channel. HOA nightmares exposed, hit 400K subs. Sparking reforms statewide. As Barbara faded into prison obscurity. Jack sipped beer on his deck. The neighborhood alive with laughter. Justice wasn't swift. But damn. It was satisfying. But here's the twist to chew on, in a world where community standards mask control freaks. Was Jack the hero for fighting back? Or did his calculated silence make him complicit until the blade dropped? Who's the real villain when rules breed tyrants, tell me. Right or wrong?